Okay, at a time of very intense drama with T1 recently, I, as a longtime T1 fan, just wanted to, or I should say needed to, get a more positive video out there, cause I feel like it is not just me, we all desperately need it, you know? So, today, we will be going over what I like to call quote-unquote hero plays, made by one of the, if not the greatest support player ever. Not only that, I will also be discussing how Keria's vision of the game per se helped T1 continuously to break through their struggles when they needed it the most. Like, come on, we are talking about game-changing decisions and plays in the biggest stage of competitive League of Legends, the World Championship. Without wasting any of your time or mine, I am Blue Buff, your numero uno source for League of Legends esports content, and let's finally get started. Here's the main idea of this video, right? I genuinely believe Keria was the secret weapon that helped T1 massively, especially in international tournaments since 2022 Worlds. Yes, they have great players, they have Honor, Faker, Guma, and Head Zeus up until this year, ouch. While all of that is true, I still feel like Keria's meta read with the supports he played and some very crucial plays he pulled off are being massively overlooked. I'm kind of a visual learner and also a visual teacher, I guess, so I'll continue my yapping regarding this as I keep showing you almost all of my favorite plays by Keria in the international stage. I really hope you can excuse my recency bias, but I wanna get this whole thing started from the quarterfinals of Worlds 2024. I think with Rakan, the most impressive thing one can do is not just hit those big ultimates, but also have these moments where you are getting focused down by the enemy and you lure them into a bad position where you can then have a big ultimate, if that makes sense. As you can see, that is exactly what Keria did in this play. It looks so good how he jukes around both the Sylas E and the Viego W. Him providing that vision of those two is very important for T1 to grasp just where and when the engage will come. Looking back at it, top esports could have collapsed really well into the pit, especially considering the champions they had on their hands. Imagine that Viego and Sylas going in with a Galio follow-up. I'm telling you, things could have been really bad for T1 here. Thankfully, Keria stops that even before it becomes a possibility. Just beautiful stuff. I know I mentioned the fact that I'll be talking a lot about his interesting picks, which at times completely redefined the meta picks at Worlds. And yeah, Xayah and Rakan are definitely not one of those. It was just a well-timed, risky yet rewarding play. So, moving on to another favorite Keria moment of mine at Worlds 24. We have the secret, the ultimate pocket pick by Keria, the Pyke support. Alright, first off, seeing him lock in Pyke against Gen G in the semis when T1 is just a game away from eliminating them is such a bold move. I just love it so much. T1 didn't go into Worlds 2024 as the favorites. In fact, they couldn't be further away from being the favorites, honestly. They barely even made it there after almost missing the whole thing entirely. As for their performance in the regular season, it seemed like Gen G in particular always got the best of them. That is why a Pyke by Keria in Game 4 is very bold and significant, almost mimicking how he got caught to Ruler at finals many years ago. Faker gets caught again in the mid lane and goes down. It seems like all is going to be lost, but Honor and Keria have different ideas. Keria follows up the CC chain Skarner started with a double stun, not letting the enemy AD carry move. That literally wins them this fight, yet Keria is not okay with just winning the fight, alright? As T1 keep chasing Gen G, Keria tracks and pulls Chovy with his Q, basically guaranteeing an easy end to the game. Obviously, Keria's early playmaking by moving around in the map was very impactful this game, and it was how T1 got ahead in the first place. Still, the highlight was him being able to close the game out in this fashion. It is just chef's kiss, what can I say? Now, we are at our final, yet probably the best play by Keria in Worlds 2024. We are talking about the Poppy Ultimate. Yes, the Poppy Ultimate. I think it's extremely underrated, like it is hard to put into words how massive this really was. Even though Faker was definitely the playmaker we know him to be, especially in the last two games of the finals against BLG, Keria's read here and him stopping Knight from joining the fight in the top lane guaranteed not only a single game, but the whole World Championship. How crazy is that? In another world, maybe he just moves to the top lane instead, Knight gets to join the fight, and somehow, someway, the game doesn't end there, I don't know. What I do know is this is a World Championship winning TP cancel. Like, come on, it really cannot get any better than that, can it? Alright, that concludes the highest highs for Keria in Worlds 2024. And I'm thinking maybe we change things up a little and go back to 2022 instead of 2023. Like, looking back, I don't know how and why, but Worlds 22 feels like it happened such a long time ago. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely one of my favorite Worlds of all time, and even though it ended with a disaster for T1, especially for Keria since he got caught by the Aatrox of Kingen a couple times, I still think his unconventional picks during that tournament was a massive plus for T1 overall. One game that stood out to me the most is of course the Lux game he had in the finals. I don't think we ever seen a Lux support set up plays like he did in this game on the biggest stage possible, you know? The double stun with his flash Q into the stopwatch just never gets old. He made that Q look look like it's a point-and-click ability basically. Then, later in the very same game, Keria catches the enemy jungler right after placing vision on the bush, and look at the decisiveness here. The crazy thing is, even after Pyke ults away, Keria is close enough to stun him with the Everfrost. Oh boy, I missed that item by the way. Anyway, like at this point, the RX was only a single dragon away from the soul, so this is an incredible catch for the side of T1. Gotta give him his credit, Pyke almost buys enough time for the RX to get the soul, but thankfully Honor, using everything he has, the ultimate, his dash, and finally his flash, is able to secure the dragon for T1. As I told you earlier, this year didn't end well for Keria, or I should say T1 in general. Regardless, I think Keria showed more than enough promise to signal the fact that he will be one of the best supports for years to come. We started seeing just that in Worlds 2023. I would say what set this year apart for Keria a level above even compared to his 2022 performance was these early gameplays T1 bot lane managed to do, which looked amazing and won them many games. I reckon one of those that stands out the most was against JDG in the semis, where Guma and Keria were getting duo at level 1. Definitely not a pleasant experience, as we all know. Even though they looked like they were completely helpless, Keria makes sure to punish Ruler since he is solo after tanking the tower at level 2, plus the ignite by Keria of course. Let me tell you, plays like this not only look flashy and cool, but also come with very real benefits to the side of T1. So, like looking back, I can easily say in this tournament Keria's Renata became a signature pick for him for good. He is by far the best support with her, like come on. Crucially, I consider his handshake usage, aka Renata Q, both defensively and aggressively being one of the things that set him apart from all the other players. For instance, in the quarterfinals against LNG with 11 seconds left for the 4th dragon for T1, if Keria didn't do this flash play to save Faker, I'm pretty sure Scott could have gotten Faker down or at least get his flash, which would be very far from ideal, you know? So yeah, it's moments, openings like this Keria is so good at reading and reacting to. I guess it all goes back to why lots of people enjoy watching him play, because he makes one of the least flashy roles look extremely cool. But not just that, most importantly, he makes it look impactful. Look, there are lots to be said about Keria, especially regarding how his mechanics are just so insane for a support player, so on and so forth. Yet, I guess my favorite part has always been the innovation he brought to the table with the double-ranged bot lane or other unconventional support picks such as Pyke. Him being able to do that not only in his regional performance, but also at Worlds to a great degree of success, just goes to show what an integral part of T1 he really is. I think that's quite a huge compliment to Keria, by the way. We are talking about a team that almost won 3 World Championships back-to-back, as you know. I just really wanted to make this video because I feel like his contributions tend to get a little bit underrated. I mean, it's understandable when you're on a team with Faker, but still. At the end of the day, Keria is and will always be one of the players that I'm most excited to watch, no matter which stage, honestly. Could be LCK, MSI or Worlds, while I have to admit seeing him at Worlds is a bit more hype, if that makes sense. Let me know what you think about Keria. Do you think he's underrated or overrated even? In general, he's definitely underrated. Still, there can be times where he pulls off such a major play at Worlds or something, and people go overly crazy about him for a short amount of time, then forget again. I guess that is just how hype comes and goes. I'm serious, write down what you think, maybe a standout moment you remember clearly or anything along those lines. At the same time, if you want to help me to make more videos just like this one, recommending any and every topic you think you would like to see me talk about would be such a major help. Thank you for watching, it's good to be back, and I hope to see you the next time, alright? Do not forget to subscribe and take care.